Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol. And I'm back with part 2 of What If Naruto Was the Monarch of Destruction, guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Yes, you heard that right, 3 more channels. Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, guys. I've already posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Shadow the Hedgehog, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Yes, let us begin now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap for the last part that we left off, Kushina Uzumaki was reuniting with her cousin, her long-lost cousin. After the attack on Uzu, she had survived, the one that gave his life to make sure that she lived. He did everything for her, but succumbed to his wounds. She was found by a nice couple that raised her as if she was their own, a part of their family. Given the loss and suffering that she went through, she didn't want to fight anymore. She didn't want to be a part of any more fighting. So they respected her wishes, that being Minato Namikaze and Kushina. She already had a son, a young boy. His name was Naruto, Maelstrom. Yes, he was named Naruto after the Maelstrom, not the ramen topic as Kushina believed. Unfortunately though, soon after when Kushina found out that she was pregnant, tragedy struck when the day came. Kushina died, as Naruto's mother believed that the baby had died as well. The whole family was gone because Konoha had made sure that it was kept a secret, given who the parents were. So yes, as for Naruto, he was grown in a lovely home, his mother and father, and his new baby sister Karin. Unfortunately though, their village was attacked. His mother did her best, protecting him and protecting Karin, and helping, but in the end, she was cut down just like his father was in front of his eyes. Naruto lost his cool and awakened something extremely powerful. Unfortunately though, he was subdued. He was taken down. However, they saw something special within him. Seeing this power that the boy had at his disposal, it was best that they did not let it go to waste. So he was taken. We then skip to a much more older Naruto. 15 years, coming on to 16, he's been a captive at the Land of Grass. Despite their bound loyalty to Konoha being in the vicinity, the Land of Grass had kept Naruto and Karin. They used Karin as leverage, knowing that it was the only thing that could stop them from facing Naruto's wrath. The last 2 times that he tried to save her, well, it ended badly and she almost got killed. So he refrained from making a move, knowing that it would be bad for him to do so. He was allowed to speak to her on a weekly basis. It was straight and forward as long as he fought for the village. There was an internal and external war going on, and the man that was driving all of this was a man known as Sozo, as he was using Naruto to make his village much stronger. With that, Naruto was sent out to dispatch some shinobi over the land that they were fighting over. That is where we get to see a glimpse of Naruto's power, to show the monstrous strength that he possessed, and his defensive strength was on a different level. His durability, he was awfully powerful, almost scary powerful. He was able to talk to Karin. He was so happy to see her. Karin was constantly worried about her brother, knowing the lengths and how far he would go for her, and knowing what they were putting him through. A call was made, as Naruto was dispatched towards the land of Wave. His benefactor there was Gato, as he had to annihilate all that stood in his way. He was to take out Zabuza, his apprentice and the bridge builder, and anyone that got in his path, he was to turn them into dust. Sozo had good ties with Gato, the both of them running some underground schemes that most people would frown at. However, Sozo was not a good person at all. Yes, he was not. Naruto was promised, twice interface with his sister. Getting there, there was already a Konoha team there. And on this team was a girl known as Mito Uzumaki, possessing red hair like her mother. Mito was a kind girl that strived to become Hokage, as she wanted the recognition from the people that were there. She was there training until the day finally showed itself, when she went to face off against the enemies on the bridge, as she got there to help her teammate Sasuke Uchiha, who recently awakened his Sharingan. However, when Naruto arrived, Haku could sense that Zabuza was in grave danger. Naruto told Kakashi that he had no squabble with him to simply stay away. As both men went at it, Zabuza was caught off guard by the sheer ferocity, the sheer power and magnitude that leaked from Naruto. It was rather baffling. It was scary. At the same time, Gato and his people arrived. However, Naruto had ended up destroying a large part of the bridge, forcing them to make their way all around if they needed to come on the bridge. And that is what they did. However, it weren't looking so good, as Naruto was taking on Haku and Zabuza. The sheer monstrous power that he possessed was overwhelming them. Naruto did not hesitate to strike them down, as Kakashi realized the danger that they now face. Kakashi made a quick thinking decision and he annihilated Gato. As Naruto had recognized the girl, he called her Kushina. Mito was confused. Why did he call her that name? Naruto's memory was excellent. He could remember all that way back there. After all, Kushina was from Konoha. His mother had spoke about her. However, he ended up leaving after handling the thugs. Getting back to his village though, Naruto found that he wasn't alone, as someone arrived. So yeah guys, basically let's split it off. You guys can switch across the place, check out this episode to begin this new episode. Harrison was forced to lie, telling Mito that the person must have mistaken her for someone else. After hearing about this individual, he was able to craft a very crafty lie. Perhaps the person knew someone that had the same shade of hair that he possessed. That is why he claimed her to be someone else. However, he was worried that Mito didn't quite believe him. She was looking at him oddly. Perhaps she was just thinking about it a bit too much. However, Harrison was also thinking about it as well. Someone that knew Kushina. From what Kakashi said, he had to be around 16 years old. That meant he was a child when Kushina was still alive. They could have met. Could the red hair be a symbol of his Uzumaki lineage? Harrison had no idea what was going on because Minato had kept the identity of Naruto's mother a very close, guarded secret. Yes, a very close guarded one. So he did not know who he was. However, this posed a very thoughtful idea. If this boy was out there, if he was indeed a Uzumaki, this place would be the best sanctuary for him. Those Uzumakis that were able to flee from the attack given that the amount was, well, as you can see. Well, they could have gotten a home here within Konoha, given all that they've given the village over the years. They deserved it. However, there was no possible way for them to find him. This was the first time they were ever even seen him. But given the way that he stopped himself after seeing Mito, it meant that he probably knew Kushina more than they originally expected. He will have to do some more investigation on this to find out just what was going on. While he was going through that debacle in his mind, Naruto was standing in the room. Smoke started to escape the side of his mouth. Easy now. The voice spoke as a person stepped out of the shadows, allowing their face to be illuminated. The moonlight that cast down a light upon them. It was revealed. Naruto narrowed his gaze. He knew who this was. In his spare time, he liked to know everything that he could. He knew about the Sanins, and this one was not a very pleasant one out of the bunch. Dark hair, slitted eyes like a snake, cold, pale features. It was Orochimaru. There was no doubt about that. Naruto could tell from the eyes, not to mention he smelled like a snake. The Sanin saw the recognition in Naruto's eyes. Ah, you know who I am. Fantastic, he said. What do you want? Naruto said, getting straight to business. Well, it is simple. As I said, I've been watching you for some time now. Watching what these people have put you through. Watching what you have done in order to make sure that your sister is safe. I wanted to see the depths of how far you would go for the one that you love. And I wanted to see just how much this world can throw at you before you break. And to my surprise, you never did. You continue pushing on. I must say, I should have found you earlier. Things would have been a lot better, Orochimaru said. However, we can't change the past now, can we? You still haven't explained. What do you want, said Naruto. Oh, it's simple. To offer you freedom. Get out. Naruto said to him. The Sannin chuckled. I understand your anger. Because you're probably wondering, what is the difference between me and Sozo? A man that has used your sister to control you. Given that I know this weakness that you possess, wouldn't I do the same? As I said, I've studied you to make sure I know what exactly I'm dealing with. And as the days had passed by, the more impressed I got. Orochimaru made his way and sat down. Everyone has a dream within this life, he said, gazing towards the window. My dream is much more complex. At least I believe that so. There are so many things in this world that have yet to be discovered. However, so little time. The mortal lifespan would not allow us the luxury of learning everything that we desire. However, I intend to break that limitation that is set upon us humans. We all have done bad, horrible things for our goals. Your only goal in life was to see to it that your sister is protected, to see to it that she is safe, to see to it that no one stands in her way of happiness. And in doing so, you have massacred hundreds. You've sentenced so many to their demise and death in the most brutalist fashion. You've ignored the base instincts of generosity, empathy, and sorrow. You locked yourself away from those in order to ensure that she was safe. It's the same thing that I've done for many years now. Because I'm sure that, as you know me, you've heard many bad, horrible things about me. And yes, they are true. And the past cannot be changed, as I've already told you. So there's no need to act like I am not a horrible person myself. But I intend to achieve my goal, one way or another. There will be countless challenges within the future. But you, Orochimaru said, as he pointed at Naruto, you possess the potential to allow me to go through those challenges without any problems. And in return, I will grant you what you've always wanted, your sister's safety. I will ensure that she lives a happy life, that she's not bothered, that she get to do what she desire, that she get to learn what she learn, that she get to live the life that she wants, whatever that life might be. It's a guarantee that I will give you for your cooperation, for your loyalty. And unlike this fiend that has taken your sister and used her as leverage, there will be no such bounds when it comes to me. And working for me, Orochimaru said, there are countless others under my command. But there's only a select few within, a group that I truly trust. And I want you to be a part of that group. Because as I've said, I've watched you, I've observed you, and I know when it comes to it, your loyalty can know no bound. If placed in the right hands, that is. So what do you say? Do you wish to break free from these shackles? To no longer be bound by that coward man? To finally exact your revenge? To finally put an end to this torment? Orochimaru said, offering Naruto a hand. All you have to do. Naruto looked at the hand, feeling like he was about to sign the deal of his lifetime, a deal with the devil in front of him. However, given all the chances and all the things that he's already tried, but not having a resource to rescue his sister, not having a chance to reach her before her demise, but an outside stimulus, a force that is under Sozo's nose, a force that he's not aware of, would be able to. As Naruto looked within the Sannin eyes, the both of their unusual eyes connected before their hands clamped together in a handshake, as if the both of them were simply signing a deal that would claim a part of their very soul. Despite the action seeming so small, there seemed to be just so much weight behind it. As the Sannin smiled, Naruto glowing eyes, making the atmosphere rather dark. Time skip. It was a normal night. Nothing was too special about this one, Karen thought to herself as she gazed through the rather large window. The bar steels that were on it were outside. The steels was an extra precaution. Not that she possessed the strength to break them. As she sat there, thinking about everything so far, when suddenly her attention was caught by something. She gazed through the window, her sensory ability picking up on two individuals, moving at incredible speeds. She first believed that this was her brother making another attempt, but no, this person wasn't strong enough. She felt the individual enter the base. As she paused, thinking what to do next, she knew there was a constant guard that was on rotation. Should she alert the guards? What if this person came here to kill her? She hesitated. What if they came here to save her? What if her brother made friends? And what if she was going to ruin the plan? She was worried, not knowing exactly what to do. She knew that she couldn't die here. She would leave him all alone. And she was afraid of what he would become. She had to do something. She moved towards it, but she didn't know why. A part of her told her not to say anything, despite her mouth being open to say the words. She took the chance. having faith. Her life has been bad. Not to the extent that it would have been because of her brother always stepping in. But there is no way that constant, terrible things just keep on happening to them. What did they do to deserve something like this? She heard the gurgling sound. She moved away from the door, looking around. As she picked up the hairbrush that she had, despite it not being a weapon, she heard movements behind the door. She watched as a strange projectile, a white, strange projectile that looked like a bone, ripped into the hinges and through the bottom one as well. The door was caught and moved to the side by someone else, a large man that was in charge of moving the bodies, possessing a patch of orange hair. However, the one to greet her was a white-haired young man. As he reached within his robes, she held the brush up. However, he pulled out a drawing on a piece of paper, a drawing of a dragon, a specific dragon. The moment she saw that, she breathed a sigh of relief. It was only something that both her and Naruto knew to communicate with each other when they didn't want others to understand what they were talking about. A special drawing. It was her brother's doing. Do you understand? He said that you would. The white-haired youth said. Yes, I do, she said. Come with us. The large man came over as he picked her up without hesitation. It will be much faster this way, he said. Just remain quiet. With that, they started to run as Karen held on to him. She was sure that this was her brother. There was no one else that would do that. She did not see the bodies. They wanted to get out of here discreetly. They were not exactly within the land of grass, close by but not within the village. She watched as the white-haired man was able to project bones from his bodies all over, which he was using as weapons, distraction as well. As they ran, for what seemed to be a couple of minutes, they finally arrived towards a little steep hill, and she saw him. He placed her down as Karen immediately ran forward. It's been a very long time since they interacted face to face. She hugged him as he was stooping down, hugging his younger sister. The last shine of hope that he had left in this world. His mother's final words was that she loved them and to keep his sister safe. He saw the dying look in his father's eyes. It was in that moment that he decided to be the one to ensure her safety. Orochimaru stood behind Naruto. As I promised, the Sannin said. Emerging from the shadows was the remainder of the Sound Four, who had been a part of the mission to eliminate all of the ninjas that were on standby, giving Naruto attempts to try to save his sister. Sozo had made it extremely difficult if he was to try again, so there was no chance that he could ever get to her. But given the unknown location, that is something that he was not preparing for one bit. However, now she was freed. Karen cried in Naruto's arms, so happy to be free and glad that he was okay. Orochimaru stood there, not saying a word, neither did the Sound Four. However, they all had different thoughts running through their head. The first one was a girl of the team, Teiwaya, believing that Naruto was some kind of wimp, and not knowing why the Sannin wanted him. Jirobo, the largest one of the group, he did not mind the affection, believing that it was a good bonding experience for siblings. Kidomaru, well, he did not know Naruto or the girl, so he did not care that much. Seikon and Ukon actually liked the affection, while they would not say this out loud, given the close bond that they share, literally sharing one body. Yes, they like to see family like this coming together. As for Kimimaro, The only thing that he was happy about was pleasing his master. Yes, that was the only thing. Naruto separated from Karen. I want you to stay here until I return, he said. Wait, where are you going? To make sure that this never happens again. Karen understood the statement that Naruto made. Be careful, she said. Karen did not worry that much about her brother. Unlike most, she could sense the depths of people power and their chakra. And what she got from him, there was a reason why she wasn't worried. Naruto did not trust Orochimaru or his people, despite what they have done. He turned. His hand transformed into that clawed, demonic-looking hand. The Sound Four tensed themselves. So did Kimimaro, but Naruto plunged it into the ground. The ground started to crack, as it seems like molten hot lava started to escape from his hand. The next moment the ground split open and something emerged. All of them stood there in shock. Naruto has been hiding majority of his power away, and this was one of them, the result. He was going to try to use this in his next rescue attempt. However, there was no longer any need for that. In front of them was a dragon. Yes, a dragon. It had crawled from the depths of the earth like it was pulling itself from hell. Naruto wasn't quite sure his connection to this beast. However, he knew that it was loyal. The characteristics that he take was one of a dragon, so he supposed that was in the mix. However, it wasn't simply created, it was summoned. He could feel the rift between this world and another, where these beasts were located. He could tell that there was more than one. However, so far he has been unable to summon the others. Or maybe, it was his fear of letting others find out that he could do this. As he realized that, he tended to limit himself and make himself weaker by just his thoughts alone. It could not speak, but Naruto understood it. There was a level of connection that was simply there. It was large, about the size of a half-built tree, but it was wide as well. It doesn't seem to be a fully adult dragon. Its body was dark, like obsidian, with cracks going through it that seemed to be leaking lava, but it was not actually leaking. Naruto placed a hand on its head. It curled up to his touch. Understanding what he needed, it made its way to Karen. Naruto made his way over towards her. She turned towards him with a shocked look on her face. She knew that he could do some amazing stuff, but how did you? I'll explain later, said Naruto. Without question, he picked her up and placed her on the thing's back. She was concerned at first. However, she knew that her brother would never willingly put her in danger. After all, when she placed her hand on it though, she did not burn or anything. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes without saying a word, as a sign that he trusts Naruto. The dragon did not fly off, instead, it simply remained there. As Naruto started to walk, "Do you require assistance?" Orochimaru said. "No." "None of you intervened," said Naruto. The Sound Four narrowed their gaze. Teiwaya especially, having taken Naruto for someone that was weak, now he was deliberately walking into the belly of the beast. Wasn't that stupid and dangerous, many of them thought. However, Orochimaru did not object. He simply allowed it to happen. Karen understood that her brother would not stop until this was finally finished. She knew that from day one, knowing that when he did rescue her, he was going to make them pay for what they did. All of the pain, all of the suffering. And she would not care one bit, because in her eyes, they deserved it. The people here were monsters. Even the civilians. They were selfish. She could feel emotions. She could always feel the people here, and they were just the bad of the bunch. They were not good people. So she did not care for them one bit. Perhaps it was all that she's been through for the past couple of years that has turned her into a cynical person in a way. That she did not care about their demise or care which one of them was going to put an end to them all. The dragon simply remained there, unmoving, loyal, without a fault, as the members were gazing at the majestic beast. With that, Naruto made his way right towards the entrance of the village. The closer he got, the more they were alerted. Weapons were raised. However, when they saw that it was him, they questioned, "Why are you..." Boom! A colossal explosion alerted everyone. In his office, Sozo was alerted by the blast. "What the hell is going on now?" he said. Meanwhile, Orochimaru believed that at least the boy trusted him enough to leave his sister here, despite his distrust of everyone. The Sannin was rather shocked. Yes, he's never been so shocked in his life. He's never seen a mythical beast like this before. It seemed to be a summoning animal, but yet there was something off about it. As Orochimaru peered at the beast even further, he started to understand why the boy was not worried on leaving her here. There was something, this strange aura, leaking from said beast. His gaze went down towards its paw. The beast's hand looked muscular like a humanoid hand, except, well, the way it was tilted to face downwards. The claws. It seems like a continuous drip of magma, but it never actually touched the ground. He did notice that there was a burning sensation where the beast lay, and around it felt so warmed. The girl was not affected by any heat though. She seemed to be fine. Something was just not sitting right with him, with this beast. She gazed upwards before the blast even went off. She was also a very remarkable individual as well. He truly hit the jackpot here. The Sound Four observed from where they were. Meanwhile, all of the ninjas started to gather, making a move, running out to face the threat. Leaving his office, accompanied by his guards, they descended through the streets. They were greeted by explosives. Houses were being blown to sunders. The screams of the dying could be heard. And that is when he heard it. From the depths of the boy's soul, Sozo! Naruto roared. An animalistic, demonic roar that shook the village participants to their very core. His power reeking. Flames radiated off him, scorching the ground as he moved, like the devil itself was walking through the village. A group of ninjas surrounded him. They all went through the same hand sign, placing their hand down. One of them shifted the earth, trying to knock him off balance. Multiple earth bullets were rose. There was so much of them, continuously gathering, before they fired it all, intending on ripping his body to sunders. However, Naruto did not move, once again showing that immense durability. The attack slammed into his face, his arms, his legs. They barely scuffed his clothing. Most of it was targeted directly towards his skull, and yet, he looked through them. He did not try to avoid them. Handling his skin, trying to break it to draw blood, requires a lot more density, a lot more force. There wasn't even a scratch. His hair blew in the wind. As Sozo landed a distance away, already sending word to get his sister. However, nothing was coming back. But he couldn't just stand here and watch. As his village was annihilated, he had to bluff. He had to bluff, as he already sent his ninjas out to bring the girl, to use her, so that Naruto would stand down. Unfortunately though, by the time he landed, he was greeted with more corpses of his people all over the place. Stepping as he did, smoke escaped the side of his mouth. His power continuously rising. The ground was scorching and burning underneath him. They had to back away from him. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Sozo said, standing as brave despite the sheer animosity, rage, and power that he was up against. "I warn you about disobeying my authority and what would happen, and your punishment will be hers." A smile graced Naruto's face. "You have no idea how long I have waited for this. I no longer have to hold back. I can finally promise what I said I would do to you all those years. Do you remember?" An image went through Sozo's mind. "When I get free, I'll burn you all. Every single last one of you. I'll burn this entire village down to the ground." Sozo narrowed his eyes, raising a hand for his man to surround Naruto. "Are you really about to risk your sister's life?" Naruto grinned stretched even wide, his eyes taking on an animalistic tone like he was driven into madness. "There's no need to worry. She's perfectly safe." Sozo's eyes widened when he heard that, as Naruto cleared the distance, shattering the ground as he moved. Sozo brought his arms together, but the first punch, with the amount of force that Naruto swung with, shattered the bones in his arms. Sozo was launched. Boom! He slammed into a building, breaking through solid stone. Naruto was surrounded as they descended upon him. They tried to best him in hand-to-hand combat, which allowed them to see the true raw strength that Naruto possessed. He lifted the guy up before snapping his spine. He ripped someone's heart out of their chest and forced it into another's mouth. He stepped into someone's back, shattering every single thing. He ripped out a spine before driving it through another guy's eye socket. It was a bloodbath. It was a massacre. Sozo was just getting back to his feet. The bones in his arm had shattered upon Naruto making contact. Blood dripped from his mouth. The force had traveled right into his chest, causing internal bleeding. He had to be stopped. If he's not, they were all doomed. The first thought that crossed his mind, red flames gathered upon Naruto's hand. He was a being of immense destruction. The flames were special. They did not burn. They destroyed. They destroyed every single thing down to the matter around them. They collapsed items upon itself, erased in substance. They crushed, they destroyed, they eviscerated. He punched clean through someone, removing their entire insides. Naruto was a true embodiment of destruction and chaos. The very definition was a part of what he was. Releasing an animalistic roar, the flames turned into a mana or a surge. Everyone fell back in fear. The aura wrapped around Naruto, a distance away watching. Orochimaru and the gang watch as a mighty, colossal dragon, red, glowing eyes tower over the village. However, multiple heads seem to appear. 3 heads, their mouth teeming with flames. This was not Naruto though. He did not transform. It was the aura that was coming from him. The representation of his power. It was in that moment that Teiwaya realized how wrong she was. Even the stoic Kimimaru was shocked to witness the sheer amount of destructive ability and power that this person had at their disposal. Orochimaru was actually beginning to wonder how much stronger was the boy actually. When he realized that he had no idea just how powerful the boy was. His underestimation of the boy would have led to his death if they fought plain out, because he would have believed that he was strong enough to best him without fully tapping into much greater powers. But looking at that demonical beast in front of him, the Sannin felt his hands trembling, something that he hasn't experienced in a very long time. However, Naruto was about to wrap everything up. Sozo saw his man, petrified in fear. "Wait, don't do this," he said. "You got your sister. Take her and leave." Naruto laughed in the man's face. Finally, no longer bound by anything, his true rage could leak out. "There is no going back now after the hell you put the both of us through. I made you a promise, and I intend to make you see that promise fulfilled. I will make you witness everything going up in ashes as you burn away with your entire village." Both of Naruto's hands turned into dragon hands as he held them close together. A small, tiny, golden orb started together until it started to change and twist. On closer inspection, it looked like a miniature sun, with tornadoes surrounding it. Naruto started to fuel more power into it. The power came from his very essence, from his soul. It started to become larger and larger until it started to envelop Naruto. His power surged around him, infusing the chaotic energy even more. The destructive amount of power that was radiating from it was collapsing the ground beneath them. It was already 6 feet down. Sozu told his man to run, to flee. They had to get away. The only chance they would have to survive. He shouted at them. Most tried to escape, but most gave up. Seeing their demise, seeing their death, Sozu turned and pleaded. He begged, "Please, stop this," he shouted at Naruto. He pleaded for his people's life. However, the response that he got was Naruto releasing a roar that shook the very village itself. Naruto then released all of that energy that he stored up. Every single ounce of it. It was a storm. A storm of destruction that spread. It spread. It came as a storm first and turned into a hurricane. Buildings, ground, nothing was able to withstand it. Even within the distance, the dragon looked on. It seemed to be fueled by this energy. What the hell is this? It was Karen that turned their gaze, alerted by the sound 4. And also Kimimaru as well. "Step back," Orochimaru said. He did not move as the Sannin looked at his hands, which were burning. The very ear itself was on fire. The Sannin saw the burning sensation appearing on his skin. Luckily, he healed fast. The others, on the other hand, did not possess such special qualities. However, he did notice that, yes, the dragon wouldn't be affected given its body built, but the girl, she was completely fine. She wasn't affected by the heat. Orochimaru thought as him and his people stepped back. They were then alerted by the final explosion that split the heavens. It seemed to literally open up the heavens itself, burning away all the clouds in the night sky. The air was steamy, so hot. Orochimaru found himself unable to venture to anywhere close, as he would risk severe burning. So he stopped. Everything seemed to be quieted down. Naruto stood in the center of it all, taking deep breaths. The amount of power that he released was nothing normal. There was no one around that he cared about. Within the vicinity, Karin was safely protected, so there was no need for him to hold back his power. There was no need for him to be stagnant. For the first time since forever, he released the flames that were in the depths of his soul. And yet, he's realized something. He's gotten so strong that he felt that he could go further. But there was no need for that. His power was tremendous, continuously growing. He was half dragon. He was certain about that. It would explain the characteristics when he used some of his more deadly abilities, and the fact that he could literally summon them. Understanding. However, he has never truly ventured because he feared others finding out, and he wanted to use that against them to get his sister back. But now, he can truly understand his bond to these dragons and why they seem to look at him like he was their leader. He needed to know, but for now, dragon wings spurted out of his back. He took off at blinding speed. Naruto landed calmly in front of the dragon. Karin smiled when she saw him, already knowing that he was fine, having sensed him throughout all of that. She sensed his power. Orochimaru was watching them, knowing the girl was a sensor. However, the girl was not normal either, far from it. Any other sensor would be overloaded by the amount of power that was released. They would have collapsed. But not her. She was completely fine. The Sannin stepped forward. He still had to remain at distance. The sheer heat that was radiating off this place was nothing normal. Our business here is done. I think it is time for us to go, he said, as Naruto turned his gaze to face the man. Time skip. Jiraiya. The Sannin found himself investigating the recent rumors. Konoha ninjas have come and gone because none of them could get in. The attack happened over 3 days ago, and yet no one could get close. If they tried to, they would risk intense burns. The air itself was on fire. Getting in close would result in two things: burns all over your skin, or being unable to breathe. The oxygen seemed to have been burnt out of the place, and it's been 3 days. Now that was truly terrifying. Who could be able to possess power like this? Power like this is only spoke about in the past, when there were people like Hashirama Senju, Madara Uchiha. Everyone. The land of grass. Gone. There was no more grass. All of it was simply dead grounds. You could see it from where you are. This one event had thrown The entire elemental nation in the panic as word reached the others. Everyone was fearful. Who was it that possessed such power to do something like this? It did not seem to be a group, project, a being of immense, immaculate power that was able to burn a village. There was nothing remaining. Nothing at all. It was all gone. Even if there was a group, think about all of them combined. Their power would be truly terrifying. It's been a very long while since everyone was this afraid. The last time a fear like this was felt was when the Uzumakis were around. News was spreading all over. However, at Konoha, Kakashi was within the office, relaying to Hiruzen once again about the encounter that he had with the mysterious young man who possessed flames that were so hot the air itself felt like it was on fire after their battle, who possessed flames that were so hot he was able to incinerate the entire company that Gato had brought. Hiruzen had an idea. He believed that this young man was behind this attack. However, there was no way to prove it. As everything was gone, there were no survivors, not even a single one. The village was gone. To wipe out an entire village like this, to kill so many people, one had to have no emotion at all, no empathy, no sorrow, feeling no pain to others' suffering. The sheer fact that the place was still hot after these days proved to him and everyone else that they were dealing with something much more dangerous than he could even imagine. Here was in dread and fear to know who was in charge of this boy, or let alone if he was on his own, which would make him more unpredictable and more dangerous. Time skip. Months flew by. While it was accessible to enter the village now, there was still this heat within the air. However, while that was going on, we find Karen, wearing her glasses. In front of her were a few books. Within the land of grass, she never got to enjoy anything. After all, they were basically slaves there. But now she was free, able to enjoy what she loved. It might seem ridiculous, but her hobbies did not allow her to socialize that much, given her previous living containments. Karen was fascinated with the human anatomy. Yes, from a very young age. It was because of her own human anatomy. It started out from her ability to sense. Her sensory ability was much more personal than most, starting out from their chakra and ranging to different emotion. The more she dived, understanding someone from the inside out. Not to mention because of her special chakra, which can heal her friends from a single bite. So yes, Orochimaru had made good on his promise, and thus granting her the opportunity to learn. As Naruto kept the end of his bargain. At the same place, we find Naruto surrounded. Kitamar rushed in, using all 6 arms at his disposal. However, Naruto deflected 2 first. He stepped in, showing that he possessed a genius level of intellect when it came to hand. He disassembled him with just a few punches. He then caught Drobo's massive fist and gripped into his arm before spinning him around and releasing him onto Iwaya, who flipped over him. She tried to take Naruto on hand, which was the purpose of this fight, but she wasn't that good when it comes to hand. Prefer using her flute. As she crashed into the wall, she cursed, something she was known for. The hardest one though was Seikon and Ukon. Not in terms of Naruto's power, but the hardest for tactical fighting and strength. Despite Drobo being bigger and stronger, his strength was also great, and the surprising attachment of his brother proved to be something that caught many off guard, but yet alone Naruto still put him down. As he was beaten the sound for bloody, Orochimaru orders to ensure that they will be ready for the future, as there was much more dangerous task for them to face. Going up against one another, yes, their strength might be increasing at a small rate, but fighting someone like Naruto, yes, that is where their weakness were placed in front of them, because Naruto's fists were heavy, and because of who he was, his attacks did not offer them any comfort. They were brutal and wicked, causing them a serious amount of pain if they did not end up blocking or deflecting his attack. Naruto started to point out their mistake, as they weren't happy by the constant losing, but, well, this was something they had to do. Lord Orochimaru had taken a vested interest within Naruto, and it was also for their own good. However, Teiwaya made it known on several occasions that she hated this. The constant pain was not her thing. She wasn't a masochist or something, given that she mostly relied on her flute, but Naruto always chastised her for doing that. What happened when she doesn't have it at her disposal? That is why I got a backup, she told him. The Zone 4 was strangely respectable to Naruto. It was because of Orochimaru. Orochimaru had instilled in these members that the strong survive and the weak die. Orochimaru was the one to train them after all, and when he did train them, he did some sick, twisted things that had them begging for mercy most occasions. So yes, going up against someone like Naruto, it reminded them of Orochimaru or even Kimimaro, which put respect upon Naruto's name. As he watched them riding on the ground in agony, Naruto was free, happy, happier than he's ever been in a very long while. Karin was free to make her own choices, to study what she wanted to study, to learn what she wanted to learn. She wasn't a captive anymore, no longer bound and shackled and watched. She was free. And as her big brother that made Naruto so happy, finally fulfilling the wish, finally fulfilling his promise that he would keep her safe. Orochimaru has been testing him, sending him on missions that would test his moral versus loyalty. However, the things that Naruto has done in the name of protecting his sister was much worse, so he did not bat an eye at that. After a continuous test to see if he was on his side, the Sannin finally seemed to be warming up with Naruto. He too was trying to learn as much as he could about Naruto without trying to actively say that he was doing that. But Naruto wasn't an idiot. Far from it. However, he did not care about that. The Sannin kept to his words. Naruto was still suspicious. His guard was still up. But for now, his sister was safe. And for the first time, they had a home where they could be together, where they don't have to be separated from one another, where she won't be used against him. That made her happy, which in turns made him happy. So yes, everything was going rather well. There was no complications, no problems. Time skip. We find Naruto seated as Karin was in front of him. As Karin was very smart for her age, so she was able to catch on to what Naruto was talking about. The both of them were trying to understand his connection to dragons. For the first time since Naruto decided to go with it, to try to find his bond, to try to find his link. So yes, he did that. Karin sat down beside him. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Naruto believed that she could accompany him on this journey, given her sensory abilities. That was actually one of the most powerful that was in this world. But it wasn't only that. Karin wasn't bothered by Naruto flames. His flames did not bother her, despite how intense they were. Not to mention, just like their mother, Karin possessed chains. She did not know how to properly use them though. She's never truly actually trained before. To try to find out her limitations, she was always restricted. However, now she was free to do all that she could. However, as the both of them sat and meditated, Naruto searching for that link that he first felt which allowed him to summon that lava dragon. And he found it. The connection that he shared with Karin. She also felt it as well, which allowed her to breach within the sanctuary of the domain. The both of them found themselves standing on hot coals. Hot coals. But they did not burn them, of course, as Naruto was basically immune to flames, and Karin was just fine. This was simply a figment of her true form. They started to walk. "Where are we?" she said. "I don't know. However, I can feel a connection to this place. I feel my power continuously rising just by being in here," Naruto said. Not knowing where he was, but he felt so much more powerful. Karin walked alongside him. She also felt strange, like her body was on fire, but it was a good feeling, not a bad one. As the both of them came to a stop, seeing a massive... it wasn't a gate. It was two massive wings combining together. Naruto placed his hand on one of them. As he placed his hand on the other, Karin stood by his side as the wings opened. That is when they were able to see just what the wings were hiding. Standing there was dragons. Not one, not two, not three. Hundreds. Dragons lined up. Naruto was shocked. So was Karin. The dragons saw him, and their action proved what he's been thinking all along. They bowed their heads. Naruto felt a sheer audacity of power radiating within his core upon being close to them. So much power. It was actually terrifying. The embodiment of destruction. That is when the dragons started to shout the words. Strangely enough, their tongue was not of human, yet Naruto understood it. He understood it rather well, as they spoke the words. Monarch of destruction, they said. They kept on chanting it over and over, their bodies lighting up with all different colors. It seems like it was affecting Karin as well, perhaps because the both of them share the same mother. Perhaps she got a glimpse of his power because of their bond. Naruto turned towards her as he saw chains. Chains extended from her back, but these chains were made from flames, linking together with pure, solid flames. She looked at him, shocked, as Naruto looked at her. But his entire body was changing. Karin took a step back as she watches Naruto transform right in front of her eyes. Her gaze looked upwards. "Oh my god," she said. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share this with all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace, guys.